Before I started to work at GivEnergy, I spent over 2 decades working in IT. And after maybe printers, and if I'm being blunt, probably users, Wi-Fi, what a pain in the butt. And we're talking commercial stuff as well as home-based installation. So this video is essentially going to help you with any connectivity issues you have connecting your GivEnergy inverter or EV charger, effectively the Wi-Fi dongle, which is inside there, to your Wi-Fi system. But the way I'm going to have to do the video, because it's a very generic problem that's plagued mankind for, well, since Wi-Fi came out and will continue to do so, I'm going to effectively give you hints, tips, tricks, easy wins, whatever you want to call it, on how to improve your wireless system at home, as in generically improve it. If we can make your system better, stronger, farther reaching, then fingers crossed that will solve any connectivity issues regarding any GivEnergy product, as well as hopefully making your life easier in general for kids shouting about games consoles, kicking them off, for FaceTime calls, Zoom calls, streaming HD videos, whatever the issue is. So let's start with some basic stuff. I'm going to make this video as simplistic as possible using really bad analogies, because I have to assume anybody watching this is just not interested in IT at all. So the first place I want to start when it comes to connectivity is the easiest way to solve Wi-Fi problems, and that's not to use Wi-Fi in the first place. This is something that only a small amount of people watching this can probably do, but effectively this has a Wi-Fi dongle inside it, so it connects to your Wi-Fi system. It also has a network port, so if you've got the capability of running a network cable from wherever your router is in your house to your GivEnergy product, then you won't need Wi-Fi again, at least not for this. I should also point out that you can't just plug a network cable in, you have to make a few changes, so look at GivEnergy support for what you have to change depending on what system you have. You have to turn Wi-Fi off and tell it to use network instead. Now, location, location, location. It's not just a good TV series, it's also very important to Wi-Fi. This is my living room, and you can see in the corner there I have my Wi-Fi router. That's where it's usually shoved in many houses because that's where the internet comes in. Normally it's behind the settee, but I've put it there for the purposes of this video. But as you can see, it's not just in the corner of this room, it's in the corner of this house. That's an external wall, that's an external wall. So in terms of how much I'm broadcasting, because that broadcasts like a bubble out in all directions, I'm only utilising a quarter of it. We've got that direction, so effectively 90 degrees of what that is outputting is going inside my property. The other 3/4 is going outside, maybe to my neighbours. So that's not really the best position. As you can see in this diagram here, one is in the corner, not ideal, you can see the bubble around it, and the one on the left, that's in the centre of the house and slightly higher up, because we're usually talking about more than one floor, and it's better placed because the broadcast, again, in every direction is more optimal. So if I move that from there to there, just by getting a longer cable, then all of a sudden, instead of 90-degree broadcast, I'm 180 degrees, because it's in the middle of still an outside wall, so it's not optimal, but it's using more of its capabilities inside my property because of its placement rather than being in the corner. Now, like the picture I just showed you, putting something in the centre of your house or flat or wherever you live, it's not going to be likely for most people watching this. Running a cable from there to wherever the centre is possible, but you're going to be lifting up floors or running cables in ceilings. It might not be something you can do, at least not anytime soon. But if you can, even if it's just moving it somewhere that's a bit better, then that's the first thing I'd try, because location can mean a massive difference. That now leads me nicely onto two things I want to clarify when it comes to how Wi-Fi works and how it can be affected: attenuation and interference. So attenuation is essentially the signal strength reducing as it passes through walls and any object, essentially, even people, because we're just bags of water at the end of the day. So that, to get to my far room over there along this wall, it not only has to pass through a bit of this settee and any person sat on it, it then has to pass through my TV, I guess, at least part of it, then that wall, then another wall, before it can get to the far room. So every time the signal passes through those, it's reduced. The signal strength goes down until essentially it becomes useless to any wireless device. So that's attenuation. Interference, that's, well, think of it this way. I'm talking to you on camera right now at the same volume level, the same distance away from the camera. You can hear me. If I suddenly fill this room up with people that are having conversations between themselves, so I can still see you, you'll be thinking, I'm sorry, I can't hear what you're saying. There's too many other people talking. Even though I'm speaking at the same volume I was before, with the same distance apart, there's interference. So if you're surrounded by lots of neighbours, for example, then their Wi-Fi could be interfering with your Wi-Fi. Unfortunately, there's no easy solution to interference because, well, you can't get rid of your neighbours as much as you'd love to, and the setting that comes as default on the vast majority of Wi-Fi systems, which is automatic, it will pick the quietest channel by itself, is probably the one I would suggest you leave it on. Unless you know what you're doing when it comes to Wi-Fi, that's the safest option. In theory, what happens is it looks at all of the available frequencies and channels on those frequencies and picks the quietest one. The trouble is, sometimes a quiet one then becomes busy because your neighbour's Wi-Fi may do the same thing, or the thing that was causing interference on the channel wasn't around at the time. A microwave, for example, can cause interference. Bluetooth sometimes works on the same frequency as the 2.4 gigahertz system that Wi-Fi can use. In fact, that leads me nicely on to something that at least we can suggest you change, which can make a considerable difference to something like GivEnergy inverters, splitting the 2.4 gigahertz frequency and the 5 gigahertz frequency. Now, 5 gigahertz is faster, there's a lot more channels, so there's less interference. However, 2.4 gigahertz can penetrate things like walls a lot more effectively. It can go further. Now, my personal preference, assuming you can get a signal for both, is that anything I use, like that smart TV, phones, laptops, tablets, games, consoles, things like that, anything that requires high bandwidth, put that on the 5 gigahertz network after we've separated them, and everything else can go on the 2.4. Smart devices, GivEnergy inverters, things that just need a connection rather than a lot of bandwidth. And the GivEnergy inverter does not require a lot of bandwidth. In fact, it's a very small amount. So we want a stable connection rather than a really, really fast one. By separating the SSIDs, it stops the Wi-Fi system from trying to do it itself, and they're usually not very good at it. Again, I won't bore you with the whys, but just trust me on this one, it works. Now, unfortunately, I can't tell you how to do it on your system because there are a million different systems out there and, well, it's just impossible to do a generic how-to. What I would suggest is, let's say you're with BT Wi-Fi, or the internet provider is BT, and your Wi-Fi system, when you look at the broadcast name, so when you look at your phone or tablet and search for Wi-Fi, you can see it, it'll say BT Wi-Fi 242 or something like that. Google BT Wi-Fi, how to separate 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. It will almost always come up at the top of the search results, and you can use the manufacturer instructions or your internet provider's instructions for how to separate these networks. So if you're with Virgin Media, how to separate 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. And it's really simple. It really is. All you have to do is log on to that and, well, tick a few buttons essentially and type in a word. What I would do is keep the 2.4 gigahertz name the same as the one that you've always had, and then just add -5G or -5 or something like that to the 5 gigahertz version of it. So when you pick up your phone now or after you've done this, or tablet, and you look and search for Wi-Fi, you will see that you're broadcasting now to BT Wi-Fi 242 and BT Wi-Fi 242-5G. So although you're broadcasting two internet names, SSIDs as they're called, it's still the same internet connection. It's effectively two roads that lead to the same town. It doesn't matter which one you use, it's the same network. Now, if you've changed the internet provider, so you've now got a different name broadcasting, you've gone from BT to Virgin, and it says Virgin Media 1234. The simple and easy solution for this is to essentially just change the broadcast name, the SSID, to what it was before. So if you had BT Wi-Fi 222, and you're now on Virgin Media 222, change the Virgin Media name to BT Wi-Fi 222 with the same password. Everything in the house just reconnects immediately because the broadcast name and the password are the same as it was before. You don't have to reconnect anything, it just all starts and, well, you're done. If you've changed or you just want to change and reconnect your GivEnergy dongle for any reason, then the video on how to do that is in the GivEnergy YouTube channel, and you can contact support if you can't find it. Effectively, that's it. And again, you can probably understand why I'm no longer working in IT, because you do one thing to try and fix it and it stops something else from working. Sometimes you don't know what the, let's say, interference is or where it's coming from. It could be one of your neighbours that has just got a new Wi-Fi access point that's now overpowering yours. So you may have a system that has been working fine for 6 months and now all of a sudden it's not. It's not impossible that it's the Wi-Fi dongle in your GivEnergy product. After looking at the GivEnergy statistics from the support desk, it's a very, very tiny percentage. I mean, it really is an extremely rare event for many, many systems out there for that to fail. So again, it's not impossible, but it is very unlikely. So it could be something, again, out of your control that has stopped the signal all of a sudden that's been working fine to now not work fine. We just need to track down what that is. To give you an example, and my personal favourite, every Christmas, one of my relatives' Wi-Fi stopped working in their furthest room. And the reason for that is because of the Christmas tree covered in metallic tinsel and baubles that the router was next to. It was behind the Christmas tree, essentially. So it had to go through that before it then started going through a wall. So a signal that was always borderline at best suddenly then was too low. You can tell it took us a while to figure that one out. What I've mentioned is nice and easy, so try those first and let us know in the comments if that's worked for you. And if not, then of course, we're always here on GivEnergy support. So thanks for watching, see you soon, and remember to like and subscribe for more videos.